Welcome to the Word on Wednesday, your midweek online Bible study and devotion at Mackville Christian Church. Today is Wednesday, April the 29th, 2026. As I tape this on Wednesday morning, it's been raining. But, this is one of those days I'm just so glad for that moisture. We've been needing it so bad. And this is just another way that we can remember God's many, many blessings. And I pray that you will always be thankful for those blessings. Let's get right into our looking at the life of Moses here on the Word on Wednesday. Old Testament personalities, Moses. I want me to look at the life of Moses from Exodus chapter 3. Last week we talked about how Moses was talked to by God. God was using a bush that was burning, but it wasn't consumed. So when Moses saw that, he knew he was on holy ground. He didn't know what was going to be happening, but he knew this was God was talking. I don't think he had any inkling of what God was going to call him to do. And I want you to pick up with me in Exodus chapter 3, starting in verse 7, where we read, "The Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them up out of the land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the home of the Canaanites, the Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. And now the cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. So now go, and I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." God will call us when we least expect it. Moses, a man, was out here tending sheep. That's something he'd done every day for 40 years. Just a routine day. He was out tending sheep. And it was broken by a voice coming from a burning bush. So you know that Moses was listening close. And listen to what God said. In verse 10, it was pretty clear. He says, "So now go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." God can and does call us when we're least expecting it. A friend of mine likes to tell the story about how God used a maintenance man to challenge him to refocus in his life, and he's devoted it to serving the Lord. Monday night, Stephanie and I, my wife Stephanie and I, attended the Salt River Christian Fellowship over at Briar Ridge Christian Church. It was just a superb program. And the speaker was a man from Ozark Christian College. He talked about that when he was growing up that many churches almost expected their young people to go to college. I don't know if he was being serious or just using that as kind of a tongue-in-cheek, but that was something. I can tell you that I don't know that my experience was so much expected, but I can tell you that my home church, Corinth Christian Church, challenged young people to go. And at one time, they had numerous people enrolled at least in 3 Bible colleges, and may have been 4, studying for the ministry. And I'm so thankful for that. And I believe that we need to encourage that in young men and young women. Encourage people. Let God call them to go and tell others about Jesus. A preacher friend of mine tells me that when he was coming out of high school, all he wanted to do was play basketball. I didn't want to play basketball, he said. And he got that opportunity and enrolled at Kentucky Christian College at that time. And while there, I decided to go in the ministry. calls will be different. God uses different things in different ways. But we've got to be attentive. I know the way that I look back at the time in which I decided to go into ministry. I had gone to the University of Kentucky for a year. I was 19 years old. And I was searching. And I was home for the summer, working on the farm. And it just so happened that the churches there in Lawrenceburg were hosting a group from Ozark Christian College. It's called the Impact Brass and Singers. And my parents were going to be putting up two of the musicians that night. Now, I went to the concert and I was just blown away. I mean, I can't describe how I was just blown away. Then that night, the guys, and I still remember the names, I can picture them. The names were Randy and Brian. We talked until well in the morning. I can't remember exactly when I made the final decision to do it. But that August, I packed up my car and I made a 13-hour drive to Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and enrolled at Roanoke Bible College, which is now called Mid-Atlantic Christian University. That was my first challenge. And then I had some personal problems in my life, and I left the ministry. And I think about that second challenge I got, and man, was it one I wasn't expecting. I was working in the newspaper business, and I was very happy doing that. I was doing something I enjoyed doing, very successful in it. But I secured an interview in which the other person just flat out shook my thinking, didn't even know my background or anything. But they shook my thinking about the impact that we can have as Christian people. And I can tell you that I certainly didn't head to Louisville for that interview that night, expecting to come home rethinking where I was in life. What I'm challenging you to do, asking you to do, challenging you to do is listen for God. I truly believe that God's alive and well. I truly believe that. But He's chosen to share His message through people like you and me. Some of you that are watching this can go on mission trips. Some of you can support those kind of things. Encourage kids to consider the ministry. Be outward thinking. And be like Moses. Go. Go. But don't resist God's call. That's what Moses tried to do, but it's futile. We talk about our reasons. I believe God sees them as excuses. Because you consider Moses. Moses had these reasons. I can't do this. God said, yes, you can. Look at Exodus chapter 3 and verse 11. But Moses said to God, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? In other words, I'm a nobody. And you're telling me I'm going to a king? Come on. Verse 12, God had a clear answer. God said, I will be with you. And this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God in the mountain. But Moses had to keep arguing. Look at verse 13. Moses said to God, suppose I go to the Israelites and say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you. And they ask me, what is his name? What shall I tell them? Again, God gave them a clear answer. I am who I am. This is what you are to say to the Israelites. I am has sent me to you. Moses wanted to throw the excuses out there. God wouldn't hear of it. Now, he goes on to talk a few more things, but I want to skip down to verses 19 through 22. And look how God says, I'm going to back you up. I'm going to back you up. But I know that the king of Egypt will not let you go unless a mighty hand compels him. So I will stretch out my hand and strike the Egyptians with all the wonders that I will perform among them. After that I will let you go, and I will make the Egyptians favorably disposed toward this people, so that when you leave, you will not go empty-handed. Every woman is to ask her neighbor and any woman living in her house for articles of silver and gold and for clothing, which you will put on your sons and daughters, and so you will plunder the Egyptians. What God is basically saying here is, I've got your back. I've got your back. You go and do what I tell you to do. I've got your back. Folks, we need to remember that. God tells us to go. Jesus said to go into all the world. Go, go. But here he's telling Moses as well, you go, but I've got your back. And what did Jesus say? Go. Lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Folks, I believe we have great opportunities for service here at Mackville. I really do. I'm not just saying that. But we have to listen when God calls us. Don't just let go of your head. Listen. Then act and not resist. And know that God has our backs. Folks, every day we live is one day closer to the Lord's return. And that means we have work to do. Just like Moses did. Let's get with it. Love you very much. And I'll see you Sunday at Mackville Christian Church. Sunday school at 9:30. Worship hour at 10:30. I'll see you then. Take care.